Hello guys and welcome back to another episode of our La Liga career mode here with Girona. We return today off the back of our opening day victory away to Cadiz to get us off to a good start in La Liga. We've got around 2 weeks left of the summer transfer window and 2 games to close out the month of August. So we're going to crack straight on into things. We should also see the draw for the Champions League group stage, and we should fit in our first couple of fixtures in the competition as well. Let's jump straight in. Oh wow, and there it is. Well, if you watched the previous episode, you will have seen that Villarreal triggered the release clause for that man, Yangel Herrera. We left it on a bit of a cliffhanger, unsure as to whether he would be staying or going. We left it up to him, but it looks as if Yangel is off to play in front of the Yellow Submarine for Villarreal. Big transfer fee of 48.9 million, but we've now got to replace him. Well, this is how the squad is currently looking. We've got 22 players, of course, with Dovbyk still down injured. As you can see, we've got quite a lot of defenders. We're going to need at least 1, if not 2 midfielders. We need to replace Herrera, and I was looking at bringing in another central midfielder anyway. So potentially 2 centre mids. I still want to bring someone into play on that left-hand side. Of course, after we lost Savio after his loan expired last season, and potentially a better third choice striker than Mateo Joseph, who could go out on loan. But yeah, we've still got a lot of work to do in the final weeks of the window. In terms of what we're going to do signing-wise, well, I've been saying since the season began that I need to replace Savio on that left-hand side. And in my opinion, well, we're saying we need to replace Savio. Why don't we just go after him? We've got the money now, 20 years of age, 82 overall. He's going to cost us a lot of money, but the weekly wages are low. Let's just bring him back. We've got the money. Let's do it. Well, after that sale of Herrera, we've obviously got a decent bit of money to spend now, but I've still got some other players that I want to bring in. So I'm going to try and lowball them a bit, and they want 50. I'm not really that surprised, to be perfectly honest. We'll go in at 38.5. I think we're going to end up paying around 40 million here. Well, 39 million to Troyes. And it looks like we may have a deal for Savio. The good thing is his wages shouldn't be too high. So, yeah, let's bring our man in. We said we wanted him since the window began. Let's bring him in. Well, we have got our man as Savio, the Brazilian, returns to the club. We paid under the market valuation for him, and it's a 5-year, 40 grand a week contract, which I think is quite reflective of where he currently is. Way too good to be playing for Troyes, and as we can offer him Champions League football. Obviously, we know that he's likely off to Manchester City in real life, although there's every chance he gets loaned out once again. So Savio returns to Girona to complete the trifecta of our fantastic front three that nearly fired us to the title last year. Will this year be our turn? Now, we're just a few days away from our second league game of the season against Mallorca. And I would quite like to bring another player in before that game. We're going to reject the loan bid from Sevilla for Thomas Suslov. Can't afford anyone else to be leaving at the moment. Before we play this game, I would like to bring somebody in, and I'm looking at that sort of squad player that I mentioned earlier that can play a number of positions. I've got a few names on the shortlist that I'm looking at. The first one of those is Sergi Roberto, of course, more of a sort of veteran player, was at Barcelona for a long time. Of course, he can play right back, but also centre mid, and he's just a very solid option. Another player that I'm looking at, 32 years of age as well, is Nemanja Gudel. Of course, with Sevilla, who were relegated last year, this guy's got loads and loads of experience. He's played in multiple European competitions with Sevilla throughout the years. Also, of course, lots of football with Serbia, his national team. And although he's not particularly quick, we know that. Very high stamina, good strength, good jumping, good in the air. His mentals are good, and technically, he has still got it. He can play at centre-back or through the heart of that midfield. So Goodell is another option. And finally, the last man that I've been looking at is Jarell Hato, currently at Porto in the save. And the reason I like this man is he kind of reminds me of like the new Daily Blind for us. Can play centre-back and left-back. But I think looking at his stats, he could definitely play through the heart of midfield as well. Either at left centre mid, being a left-footed player, or more likely as a CDM. Between the three, I'm not really sure who to go for. Do we go for the experience of Goodell or Sergi Roberto, or potentially bring in Jarell Hato as our new Daily Blind who's set to retire at the end of the season? I think potentially one thing to consider as well as we're weighing this up is the wages of the players as well. Sergi Roberto on a much higher wage than Jarell Hato or Nemanja Goodell. And I think for me, as much as I love my seasoned pros and my vets, we have signed one player from Sevilla in Pedrosa and also Marmol from another relegated team. I think I'm leaning more towards Jarell Hato. I've not used him before. He's going to cost us pretty much close to the market valuation, and I really like his stats. I think he's very versatile, and I do see him as sort of a Daily Blind V2, so I think we're going to try and bring in Jarell. I did also have a comment on a recent video, which I'll try and remember to put on screen, advising us to sign Jarell Hato and also to bring Yan Couto back. Well, we've already got Couto, and it looks as if we're going to be able to strike up a deal for Jarell as well. Well, there we go. We've agreed a deal with Sergio Conceição, 9 million plus a 15% sell-on clause, which I'm not too fussed about. Let's bring our man Jarell in. So Jarell is in on a 10 grand 5-year contract, moving from Ajax to Porto in the save and now to Girona to play Champions League football. We know this guy's got fantastic potential in career mode, but for me, his best asset is the fact that he can play pretty much anywhere. I mean, you can see he can move to right back, to left back, to CDM as well in just 2 weeks, and as I said, I think he can play in the centre of midfield as well. For now, we're going to keep him on the centre-back development plan and get that defensive work rate up to high, and then I may potentially look to convert him to CDM with decent options at centre-back already. So we're going to jump into our first game of the episode and the second of the season as we host Mallorca. Fabian Ruiz comes into that deeper midfield role, while Savio makes his second debut for the club on that left-hand side. Levi Garcia still leading the line after his winning goal on match day 1. Vamos, Girona. Mallorca have it down the right. That's a good run. And played into the middle. Oh, what a block. Oh, what a challenge by Mosquera. How on earth did he keep that out? And now Girona coming away down the other end. That's a poor ball by Zigankov. Oh, what a turn. What a turn by Levi Garcia. And from one end of the pitch to the other, well, I'm going to need to take a look at that replay again as to how that ball stayed out. But Mallorca, from one end of the pitch, inches away from going a goal up, straight down the other end. Fantastic work from Levi, and he's bagged his second goal of the season. What a swing from Girona. And yeah, I need to look at this again, man. It's fantastic work down the right-hand side, crossed into the middle. Shots deflected, then hits the man again. Tenyas is on the floor. He's got a tap in. And Mosquera, oh, what a fantastic piece of defending by Christian Mosquera. Under the leg of the attacker, trying to turn it in on the goal line. How has he not scored from this position? It's Mariki, I think. No, it's not Mariki coming in. He's got an open net, and Mosquera just comes out of nowhere. And then, well, 10 seconds later, we go up the other end, and Garcia's bending the ball into the back of the net. What a swing from Girona. Do you know what? That goal line clearance reminds me of. It wasn't quite as close to going over the line, but I'm sure a lot of people will know what I'm on about when I say the John Stones clearance against Liverpool at the Etihad. I'm not sure what season it was. Oh, it was Fabian Ruiz. What a finish from the new man. Bends it in to make it 2. But yeah, as I was saying, that clearance from John Stones at the Etihad, where everyone thought the ball was destined to go over the line. I think it was Salah was involved, and it looked like it was destined just to go over the line. And Stones, from out of nowhere, managed to get back and clear it. And Sane went on to score, and City won that game, which I think ended up helping them to win the title that year. So, yeah, not quite as dramatic as the John Stones one off the line, but what a swing from Girona. Fabian Ruiz is now bent in our second with his first goal for the club on his full debut. And we look set for another 3 points here after what's been a fantastic start to the La Liga campaign. Well, it's all over here at the Montelivi, and after a pretty manic first half, which saw us leading by 2 at the break, we just controlled the game in the second half, didn't allow Mallorca to create anything, and saw the victory out. As I say, a crazy first half. That first goal from Levi Garcia after a fantastic goal line clearance from Mosquera, and Ruiz added a second 10 minutes before the break. 2 wins from 2 and the perfect start for Girona. Well, after Real Madrid were held to a goalless draw at the Reale Arena, for the time being we go top of the league, and we've actually got about a week until our game at the Bernabeu against Real Madrid, and of course transfer deadline day. Before we get there, we have got a few emails, and that's a big one. That is a big one. Ivan Martin, not one of the players that we tied down to a new contract in the summer. He is still growing, and at 25 years of age, he's only got, well, basically 2 years left on his deal, but it's the champions Barcelona. I think at the very least, for realism, we have to negotiate with them and see if we can at least agree a fee for the Spaniard. Ivan Martin, wanted by the champions. Let's see if we can agree a deal. Well, Girona had a fantastic campaign last year, and Ivan was a massive part of that, but he has only got 2 years left on his deal, and Xavi willing to pay up to 40. Let's go 42.5. Still not budging on 40. What about 41.5? Come on, Mr. Xavi, open up that bank account. And yes, Xavi is happy to pay 41.5 million for Ivan Martin. It'll be a big miss, but I do have a couple of names lined up on the shortlist to replace him. Well, we've had another couple of interesting bids here. This transfer window is going crazy towards the end. We've had a bid from Celta Vigo to take Mateo Joseph on loan. Now, I'm quite happy to let him go out on a 1-year loan if we can agree that before the end of the window. But a huge bid from Arsenal for Arnau Tenyas. Of course, we only signed him last summer, but I think we paid around 9 million for him. Chief Exec reckons we can get around 60 million for Tenyas. And of course, Arsenal, one of Europe's biggest clubs, the pool of the Premier League and the money that we just can't compete with. Let's negotiate with Mikel Arteta and see if we can strike up a deal. It would be a big loss, but we can use that money to reinvest in another quality keeper. Well, we're up to 51.2 million, which is a hell of a lot of money. If Mikel's willing to spend 57.5, which he is, then I'm happy to accept that for Tenyas. That's around 50 million profit on what we signed him for just 12 months ago. Of course, as I mentioned, we cannot compete with the wages that Arsenal can offer. The pool of the Premier League and a massive European powerhouse. If he wants to go to Arsenal, then fair enough, but we're still waiting on that Martin deal to go through, so we could be seeing Tenyas and Ivan Martin depart, and we still haven't replaced Yangel Herrera yet. We could be in for a crazy transfer deadline day. Well, none of those deals have gone through just yet, and we've got to remember that on the field we've got a huge early title clash against Real Madrid. So far we're one of only 2 teams to have a 100% record, with newly promoted Eibar winning their first 2 games, but we know that Real Madrid completely tore us apart in the 2 fixtures we had against them last season. Let's see how far we've come, as we need to keep the distractions of what's happening off the field behind us and focus on our football on the pitch. Vamos, Girona. Well, of course, the players won't be focusing on what's going on off the pitch, but for myself, it's very difficult to focus on such a huge game when there's so much going on behind the scenes. And I have to say, just real briefly, I'm loving this career mode so much, guys. It's been so much fun so far in that first season. And heading into the transfer window in Season 2, it's just been absolutely crazy. And I think we're in for one of the craziest, busiest, maddest transfer deadline days that we've ever seen on the channel, as we could potentially have some huge outgoings and in the same vein, some huge incomings as well. But we've got to focus our attention to what's going on the field, as Tenyas, who is starting out there today, makes a good stop at the near post. Tchouameni. Cruz into Bellingham. That's lovely build up. And into the Irishman, Evan Ferguson. Lovely build up. And still alive. And it's 1-0 at the back post. Well, Real Madrid get us underway in this second half. And I think it was Mosquera who sort of got in Mika's way for that goal. He made a fantastic tackle. And Mosquera came across, took a heavy touch and sort of got in his way. And Real Madrid kept the ball alive and managed to find Ceballos at the back post. But we can just never get the better of these guys. So far in the save, we've not really been able to get close to them. Oh, that's a great header on. I think it was Tchouameni. And now Vinicius Jr. off the bench. Vinicius for 2 this game. They're just too good. We just are not at this level at the moment. But what I will say is we can afford defeats to Real Madrid and Barcelona, but we have to win our bankers. And so far, that's what we've done. 2 wins in our opening 2. Well, it is all over at the Bernabeu, and Real Madrid just too good, man. As I've mentioned, we're just not at this level yet, but I'm not too disheartened by that. Maybe distracted by what's going on off the field with big transfer rumours surrounding the club. But it's Real Madrid who continue their unbeaten streak at the start of the season and will return to the top of La Liga. And as we head into transfer deadline day, strap in, because I have a feeling this could be a crazy one, as we've already seen Araujo depart Barcelona for PSG for over 100 million. I think this could be one of the craziest transfer deadline days in history. Let's kick it off and see if any of these potential departures go through. Still waiting for a deal to go through. And there we go. I think we've had 2. Ivan Martin and Arnau Tenyas both departing the club. I don't know if you spotted it on the right-hand side. It's for a combined fee of probably close to 100 million. So we're going to have a lot of money to reinvest in the squad. 57.5 million for Tenyas. It's a one and done for the former PSG man. He's off to the Premier League to play under a Spaniard in Mikel Arteta. And it's a huge sale of 57.5 million. And Ivan Martin staying in Spain but joining the champions Barcelona. I can't blame him for that one. Thank you for your service. And yeah, time to go and reinvest this money. And I've just skipped 1 more hour in the calendar. And Mateo Joseph is heading out on that 12-month loan to Celta Vigo. I quite like that one. Staying in Spain, but hopefully getting some first-team football. So 7 hours left on the clock. Let's go and reinvest this money and start bringing some players in. Well, this is how the squad is currently looking. How many have we got? 18, 19, 20, 21 players, but we're looking very, not top heavy. What's the opposite top heavy? Bottom heavy, I guess. We've got loads of defenders in the squad and not many attackers, but of course, we need to replace Yangel Herrera. We need to replace Ivan Martin. and we need to replace Matteo Joseph. I've got my potential replacements in mind, and of course we need to replace Arnau Tenyas. That's the big one. We've got around 120 million in the budget, just under 123, so loads of money to play with. But yeah, this is going to be crazy. Let's go and spend some money. So the first signing I'm going to make is to replace Yangel Herrera, and I had this guy on the shortlist from season 1 when he was in the Premier League. Douglas Luiz has moved on to AC Milan. Not sure where they finished last year, but I imagine they are a Champions League club. But he, of course, had I think it was a 2-year loan spell at Girona back in, I think it was like 2017 or something, when he was a Manchester City player. So he's got previous at the club. Maybe not the most realistic now that he's moved on to AC Milan, but bugger that, I've got 120 million to spend. I can bring in whoever I want. Douglas Luiz is my man for that holding midfield role. Let's go and bring him in from AC. Let's go 47.5. That's roughly what I thought we might have to pay for him. They're not budging. Come on, negotiate with me here, Milan. 48.5 for Douglas Luiz. There we go. I'm a big fan of this guy in real life. I'm going to give him a little wage increase up to 85 grand. And yeah, I think that might actually make him our highest earner, or certainly one of our highest earners. But Douglas Luiz is in. We're not going to sit and watch the cutscene that we've seen a million times before. We've got transfers to be making. 48.5 million for Douglas Luiz. And he was always my long-term successor to Yangel Herrera if he were to leave. And of course, we got, was it 48.9 for Yangel? So it kind of feels like a straight swap. And for that deep lying midfield position, I think Douglas Luiz is perfect in there. Now we've obviously got some pretty big fish to fry with the goalkeeper and central midfield positions, but with Matteo Joseph going out on loan, this is one that I've been eyeing up for a little while and I had in mind, and that is Armando Broja. Now I noticed that he was loan listed, and of course, we've only got one fit striker at the moment in Levi Garcia. Dovbyk obviously set to return around December time, so I am quite happy to proceed with just 2 fit strikers with Dovbyk to come back. But I didn't really feel confident in Matteo Joseph being that number 2 to Levi whilst Dovbyk's down. Broja, a little bit more quality, a little bit more experience. To bring him in for 1 year, although he'll probably be recalled in January, seems like it makes perfect sense to me. Well, whilst we're waiting for that Broja loan deal to go through, I guess it's about time we address the central midfield position. And I've got quite a lot of names on the shortlist, but there's one man that I am really desperate to bring in, and that is Gabri Veiga. The Spanish central midfielder, of course, went to Saudi Arabia, a little bit controversially at the young age of just, I think he was 20 or 21 when he went out there. He's had a bit of a paycheck from Al Ahly, but it's time to bring him back to Spain. I reckon we can get him for around 40 million. And with Ivan Martin heading to Barcelona, seems like the perfect time to bring Gabri Veiga back. I love this guy. Let's bring him in. So it looks as if we're going to agree a deal with Al Ahly. We'll go 41,750. Okay, we're just going to agree to the 42 million because they're being so fucking hard about it. But Gabri Veiga looks as if he is heading back to Spain after a small stint in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, he may not be as good as Ivan Martin is right now, but Gabri Veiga definitely has a higher ceiling. I think this guy can get into the mid to high 80s over the next couple of years in this sale. I'm really happy with that bit of business. I think that's a fantastic signing. So I'm going to advance an hour or two and hope that Armando Broja deal goes through. Nothing yet, as we now reach the halfway stage, and there it is on the right hand side. Armando Broja is in on loan. So Matteo Joseph heads out on loan and Armando is in. Again, I think that's just clever business. So looking at the squad, I think we're currently at 24 players. That's 11, 18, 22, 23, 24. So we can only bring in one more to take us to the 25-man squad limit. And of course, we need a shot stopper. with Sergio Rico not good enough to be our number one. We've got 25 million in the budget, and it'll probably be our last signing. Now, I don't really want to spend all of it, as I'd like to have a bit of money left for January, and I have got some names on the shortlist. Muric is quite a cheap option, but a decent player who, again, I think had a short spell playing for Girona previously. Let me just double check that. Yeah, he did have a loan spell at Girona during the 2020-21 season when he was technically still owned by Manchester City. So we could bring back Muric, but I'm not sure how much of a ceiling he's got. Now, we could go for someone with a little bit more experience, like Kepa, who's probably not going to grow. But, you know, bring him back to his native Spain. He's had a lot of experience, of course, was at Real Madrid last year. I'm not sure if I want to go down the Kepa route. I think Chelsea would be willing to sell, but I don't know if he excites me that much. I got a few other names on the list, some young Spaniards. Trubin would be a great option, the young Ukrainian, but I don't actually think we're going to have enough money for him at the moment. Mamardashvili's way out of our price range, although I absolutely love this man. If you know this channel, you know I love my Georgians, and Mamardashvili I absolutely love. So I think the best option that we've actually got is Julian Agarizabala. He's number 2 behind Unai Simon, whereas here he'll come in and be number 1. He's probably not as good as Tenyas was, or he's definitely not as good as Tenyas was. But he seems like our most viable option at the moment. Big 6'2" shot stopper, left-footed. And he kind of follows the same model as Tenyas, a young Spanish goalkeeper who could potentially grow. And we saw that with Tenyas last year in the first season, growing a number of ratings and being sold for a huge profit. So I quite like sticking to that same model. I think I'm going to go after Julian. Yeah, I think I just prefer this deal. I don't know why. I'm not a massive fan of the Kepa deal. 13 million, and Bilbao say they're happy with that. I quite like the model of sticking with a young Spanish goalkeeper. We took a risk on Tenyas last year, and it massively worked out for us. So we're going to do the same for Julian here. We'll give him a 30 grand contract, so it's over double what he's currently on. And knowing that he's going to be number 2 behind Unai Simon, Julian is in to be our number 1 heading into the Champions League. Bit of a risk, and we'll see if it pays off like it did last year with Tenyas. But for 13 million, I think that's a decent deal. But if we take a look at the players that have come in, it's been a ridiculous transfer window. I mean, we've practically signed a player in every position. We've had big outgoings as well. We've reinvested in the squad. I didn't expect there to be this much of a change from last season. We'll see if it works or if it backfires heading into the Champions League. I think our depth is certainly a lot better. But that will do it for transfer deadline day. It's been an absolutely crazy one. But we will head into September, and I think we should have the draw for the Champions League. And yes, there it is. Champions League group stage draw. Girona's first year in the competition. And we will be drawn against... Well, we're not there. Where are we? Oh, big group that. That's huge. Bayern Munich, Porto and Dynamo Kiev. That's a really tough group. I do think that we should have enough to get through it. I'm not sure that we'll be favourites to top it with Bayern Munich, but that is a huge, huge group for Girona in our first year in the competition. We'll try and squeeze match day 1 into today's episode, but it's been a bit of a crazy one with this transfer window just completely blowing up. But yeah, I'll try and squeeze that first game into today. Let's jump into our next game, first one of September, and it's actually being played on my birthday, the 6th of September. So hoping for a birthday present with a victory as we face newly promoted Valladolid, who are winless in their first 3. Vamos, Girona. Vega into Luis. 2/3 of our midfield new pairing. And Garcia, the old head, into Gabri Vega. It's a great strike. And it's well kept out. Would have been a lovely debut goal. Garcia will swing the corner in, looking for Levi. And there's his third goal of the season. What a signing he's proving to be, stepping up whilst Dovbyk is down injured. Oh, that's a good ball. Mosquera's not got there, and it's a goal. Via the lid, back on level terms straight away. Oh, Mosquera dispossessed, cross into the middle, and there's Ulan to make the stop. No clean sheet on his debut, but an important save there to keep us level as we head towards half-time. Could be a chance on the break here. Zigankov. I see you, Savio. I see you. What a ball by Gabri Veiga. In behind Savio. First goal since returning. Fantastic counter-attack from Girona. And it's an assist on his debut for Gabri Veiga. That's what we brought him in for. Cheap corner given away to via the lid here. It's a dangerous ball too. I don't believe it. What a sloppy, sloppy goal to give away. I'll put a clip beforehand of the corner that we gave away. Poor back pass to Ulan, who's not had the greatest of debuts, and Mosquera lets his man get in front of him, and we're pegged back once again by Valladolid. This is not good enough. Oh, that's a nice little touch from Savio, and Veiga has been good on his debut back in the Spanish top flight. Savio into Levi, and it's wide. Should be 3-2. Big opportunity missed. There is the final whistle. Disappointing defeat, really. What did we say in that game against Real Madrid? We have to win our bankers, and we've not done so here. 2 points dropped, and after a fantastic start with 2 wins from 2, it's now no wins in our last 2 in the league. Got to pick it up in our next one. And that next one is at home to Real Betis, who of course we defeated 7-0 in this fixture last season. We could do with that result now, as we're already playing catch up to Real Madrid, Barcelona and Atletico, who are 3 points ahead of us. Big win needed. Vamos, Girona. Well, pretty poor first half that. And, well, that kickoff routine just about sums it up. Yeah, we've not been very good. Things just not really clicking for this Girona side at the moment. Obviously, lots of changes in the summer window. We're now playing European football, so I have made changes with that in mind. But, yeah, so far it's not been great. But here comes Levi Garcia into Alex Garcia. Shot blocked, but Savio does get there first. Nice build-up this. Suslov with Garcia in the middle, and it won't quite reach him. Better start in this second half, but still need to find that breakthrough. Levi back to Fabian Ruiz. Great technician. There's Savio and Suslov coming onto it. Suslov! There's our breakthrough goal. And this man's going to get more football this season with us playing in Europe. Given his chance today, as Zigankov was given a rest with midweek in mind. And it's the 2 wide players who link up, and Thomas Suslov finishes it off to give us the lead. Garcia will swing the corner in, looking for Levi. Bullet header. 2-0. And surely points in the bag now for Girona. Time to move on to Wednesday night. Well, it is all over here, and that second goal really sealed it for Girona. A big win, and one that was much needed after back-to-back games without victory in the league. Back on track, and now we can turn our attention to that Champions League opener away in Portugal at the Dragão. So match day 1 of the Champions League group stage as we travel to the Dragão to take on Porto, looking for 3 points in our first group stage game. Vamos, Girona. So, big game here as we take on Porto, and after sort of stumbling out of the blocks in the league, it's important that we get off to a good start in the Champions League. I'd say that Bayern Munich definitely favourites to top the group, so it's going to be between ourselves and Porto battling for that second spot in the group, so we need to make sure that we don't lose to them on match day 1, and that's a good save by Ulan. As Garcia, fantastic from the captain, Levi. And now Zigankov, waiting for him to get going this season. And an unorthodox save from Costa, but he does punch it away for the corner. Alex Garcia swings that in, looking for Zabani, who then hits the deck. And Vega loses out. Well, that's not a good sign. The new man making his full debut today from the start. And I thought he was favourite to win the header, but he must have taken a knock or something as he hit the deck straight away. Well, Zabani back up to his feet. I'm hoping it's just a 5-day knock for him. But trouble here, and that's a big save by Yulan. Still alive for Porto, and Garcia gets a foot in and will clear. Well, that was close, and nearly the first goal of the game for the host. That's a good ball into Savio, and now we look to come down the other end. Where have we seen this before? Match day 1 of the La Liga season. Vega into Alex Garcia, and Vega's gone again, and Gabri Vega for his first goal for the club. Let's build up this from Porto. Estequio, goal side of Jarrell, and swung in, but Blind is there. It's loose, oh, and it's into that bottom corner. It's Estequio who smashes it in, and I think Yulan maybe should have done better. Maybe I'm being harsh on the new man, but as Blind clears it away, it's not a very good header, and it's a bit of a P-roller. Well, there is the whistle in Portugal, and it's not the worst result, a 1-1 draw away at the Dragão. Tough place to visit, but it was a bit of a nothing game, and I feel like we should have held on. That equaliser from Estequio means that both teams take a point from match day 1. As I say, not the worst result, but we've just been really inconsistent and a bit sluggish out of the blocks in these early stages. So we'll end today's crazy episode by seeing the injury for Zabani was just a 5-day bruise. Bayern Munich beat Dynamo Kiev as expected in match day 1. So you'll see how the Champions League group is looking. But in La Liga, it's been a little bit of a slow start. We currently sit in 6th place, although we do have a game in hand on some of the teams above us. As I say, a little bit sluggish out of the blocks and already playing catch up to Real Madrid and Atletico, who both remain unbeaten alongside Barcelona and Osasuna. In the next episode, we're going to play through most of Sloggy season, so there'll be loads of gameplay to come after we've been mainly focusing on the transfer window in the past 2 episodes. I'll catch you for it very soon, guys, and peace.